Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. Streaming tube via YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Twitch. We are really happy to be in the room and in the house. If you haven't already, check us out. Go across to www.bwtmonline.com, where all of our videos, past and present, and some future stuff is on the website. So get across there, www.bwtmonline.com. If you haven't subscribed already, get across to our YouTube channel, BWTM Sports. Hit the subscribe button. And if you are already a subscriber and been with us a while, just double check and see that you have your notification on the bell, being all YouTube this year decided to go across to the subscribers and turn around and decide to unsubscribe some, and other people decide to not mess around with the notification bell. So please check and see that your notification bell is on and it's set to all and not personalized. That being said, good afternoon if you're in the UK. So let us talk. My Sergey Kovalev. Well, the title of this video basically is Sergey Kovalev admits to us what we try to tell y'all, as they say. What we try to tell you is exactly what's happened here with Sergey Kovalev and Canelo. We told you beforehand that there was no way Sergey Kovalev could win this fight because Canelo being the invested fighter, we know about the DAZN deal, $300 million, whatever it was, plus him being the franchise champion, plus the fact that Kovalev was an old champion, and that there was no real future in a Kovalev win. But a win with Canelo, they could continue building his greatness. And that's what all this was about. That Canelo would fight a guy who was agreeable and would take the money and not take the money and run, or take the money and fall. And that's exactly what Kovalev did. 12 million to be the fall guy. So he wasn't the crusher in this fight. He was the fall guy. And it was pretty evident early on in the fight, or throughout the fight, that he was just throwing left jabs and just tapping with the left jab, like a sparring session, and never once really decided to commit with a big right hand. Why? Because if he'd hit Canelo with a right hand and the legs had buckled and he'd hurt Canelo, what would have been the excuse for not following up and finishing Canelo off? There would have not been one. So, all he did is tentatively slap the jab, and that's basically what we saw, a sparring session with and Kovalev being in sparring mode. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. Hear it from the man himself. So we know that Kovalev wasn't throwing his punches with power. And I said afterwards in the post-fight that it didn't look odd to me, because this is what I expected. This was about money, and Kovalev was in a no-win situation. Okay? So check this out and hear what Kovalev had to say about it. Given the conditions, it was impossible to win. You're an ignoramus since you thought I could win. I climbed into this weight with torment and sleepless nights because it was financially interesting offer, said Kovalev to boxinggu.ru. So basically, Kovalev took this fight for financial reasons. That's it. That's it. And he's right. You must be an ignoramus if you thought that Kovalev was going to beat Canelo, based on the fact that this fight was so one-sided before Canelo even got in the ring. Being a franchise champion, having all that investment behind him. So, if you watch a Canelo fight now and he goes and fights Callum Smith, less accomplished than Kovalev. You go and see Billy Joe Saunders, again, less accomplished than Canelo. And none of those guys have got the pulling power. Them two guys together couldn't fill out an arena, right? So take that first into consideration. Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith together on one night of boxing couldn't fill out an arena. Canelo himself could fill out an arena. All right? Those two guys together couldn't fill out an arena. Or let's say three. Those two, plus stick Andrade in there as well, or Andrade, however you want to pronounce his name, he couldn't fill out an arena either. Right? So those three guys, they couldn't fill out an arena. A big arena. They couldn't fill it out, but Canelo could. Canelo's the event. Canelo is now in a sort of bully boy position. So, you understand what I'm saying to you? This is ridiculous. So, all those people who really think that Callum Smith, who got backed up by a kickboxer, right, and was giving him hell, or Billy Joe Saunders, who looked terrible in his last fight, if you really think that those two guys stand a chance of beating Canelo, you are seriously deluded. Because what is the incentive? You know, if Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith were that good fighters, like Canelo has, and had that sort of influence, they'd be getting $300 million deal. None of those guys have got a $300 million deal. I don't care if they're connected with DAZN. I don't care if they're connected with Matchroom. They're cannon fodder. That's all it is. Fresh meat, cannon fodder. They're just at the grass at the moment, eating the grass, getting fattened up for Canelo to come along and eat the kebab. Do you understand the process from the sheep in the fields of the grass, eating the grass in the pasture, to when you're sitting down eating your kebab on a Saturday night? Do you know how it transfers from sheep in the field to the kebab that you eat on a Saturday night? The process. The process is, at the moment, is that Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders are eating the grass, and the grass signifies they're having a good time. Pasture, eating good, no problems. Then they get called into the negotiation with Canelo. Between that time, the sheep gets electrocuted, stripped of all his wool, and then gets minced, and then packed, and then sent the meat down to your local kebab place, where they unveil it, put it on a hook, and they start to get cooked. And that is the process, quite frankly, of what's going to happen with these guys, Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders. If you really think, for one second, that these two guys have a chance in hell of beating Canelo. I don't care. Oh, Callum Smith is tall at the weight, and he's big at the weight, and he's got long arms, and he's a good boxer, and he's got a good punch to the body. But come on, behave yourself. Billy Joe Saunders, he's a really talented guy. No, listen. Stop that talk. Those two guys would be better off fighting Golovkin. They'd be better off fighting Golovkin. Why? Because Golovkin's an aging champion. He's an older guy. There's not a long-term future in it. But Golovkin would be in his best interest not to fight anybody of a heartbeat, because he's got a contract as well. So the whole contract of 300 million, they've got to see those 10 fights out without Canelo getting beat. It is not in their interest to see Canelo get beat. It is in their interest to build a fighter in the image of a Floyd Mayweather, to say, well, you know what? Well, Canelo, he fought Floyd when he was inexperienced. Well, you know that's crap, because he only had 2 fights less than Floyd, and he was in his 40. He had 40 plus fights. So if you're not experienced in 40 plus fights, then I don't know where this extra experience is coming from. And then those people say that Canelo's improved since. No, he hasn't, because who's he fought like Floyd since then? He hasn't. He fought guys that are straight, flat-footed guys that move in straight lines and are either weight drained, or guys that simply are like rabbit in the headlights. That's what it is. Or like Kovalev, who have just not come to fight. It's a business deal. I said it to you before. I'll say it to you again. It's a business deal. You might not like why I say it, but it's the truth, right? If you want to come to the channel and you want to hear the truth, come here. If you want to listen to deception, if you want to listen to propaganda, go elsewhere. It's okay. But each and every time you pay your pay-per-view and you sit down and watch Canelo fight, this is what's going to happen. The agenda is not about you. You're just the puppets being played. That's all it is. Let me hear what people are saying in the room here now. People are talking. Right. He literally is on Instagram live this second talking about it. Jesus, state of this. Uh, suspicious suspicions was rife before the fight. Before the fight, and now the fighters come out and said it. That he took the money and got drained down and wasn't ready following Yard's knockout, but the Yard knockout fight. George Michael Conchi says it's not just physically unready; it's a mental thing. He didn't even try to hurt Canelo once, tapping him just silly, still winning hilariously. Yeah, this deceptive practice reminds me of Joshua when Nelson said he's like Holyfield, very deceptive. Canelo is not that good like they make him out to be. He's a tiny middleweight. This is what I'm saying. The deception is incredible, absolutely incredible. So absolutely incredible. And you literally have to be, as he said, an ignoramus not to see what's going on. You have to be so blind or so brainwashed or said so numb in the skull to see for yourself that was not the Canelo or a Kovalev that fought Yard. That was not the Kovalev that even fought Andre Ward. Where was the right hand? Where was the determination to try and knock the guy out? Kovalev had to beat Yard because he wouldn't have got the Canelo fight. So he had to fight for that fight. But the incentive for Kovalev to win against Canelo, well, no. And they had to make sure. They had to make sure. They're protecting an interest and an investment. And if you had a business, you'd do the same thing as well. It seems that a lot of people in boxing, they have business and business investments, investments in cars, they're selling cars, or investments in their own local business, or their own or business going to work. But it seems that the world of boxing, that the logic in business seems to go out the window when it comes to boxing. And I just think people like that just do not think straight. Do not think straight. So any Canelo fight now going forward, you know this is going to be the case. Unless he decides to fight someone like a Charlo. And even then, the question you ask yourself is Charlo prepared to sacrifice their soul or put a sacrifice out? Do you understand? And what I mean by that is, are they prepared to toe the line? The fact that Canelo's on DAZN and Charlo's PBC makes it more difficult. I think eventually, I think what's going to happen is you're going to get a pick your poison. That's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to get pick your poison. What do you mean by pick your poisoning? I think, well, I'm not so sure if we're going to be seen in the future of reporting, or we're going to have the same reporters being a duck and dive between camps. Like 1 week, one reporter's in one camp, next week reporters in another camp. Because unless they're non-biased, it's going to be extremely difficult with all these different franchises and different organizations, from PBC to Matchroom to DAZN to Top Rank to Main Events, to the Sauerlands. So many different boxing promoters and management, and it just seems to me there's more and more fractures all the time. Rather than it come together, people are all going kind of go their separate ways, doing their own thing. So let's see what people are saying here. The surprise is Kovalev's admitting it. Couldn't talk himself out of cash there. Well, maybe it's the end of his career. Maybe he's about to admit that he's going to retire, so it's not going to really matter. Listen, what Kovalev did there was a smart thing, because there's no way if he was to fight Beterbiev and fight, what's the other guy, Bivol, he would not have made the money with them two guys combined fighting this fight against Canelo, right? I don't believe so. Even if he was getting $3 million per fight, I don't believe he would have done it. So for me, the way I look at it is that Kovalev speaking because he's a man who's got nothing to lose now. He's at the end of his career. He's going to retire. He'll probably make the Hall of Fame. So what are you going to do to Kovalev in Russia? What are you going to do to Kovalev, man? What are you going to do to Kovalev? So it's done. So let's see what people say. George Michael says, yeah, LOL. That's why I end up excited and happy for Canelo and Joshua losing. Don't respect lies at all. Well, there you go. You see through the garbage. That's what it is. This doesn't prove fight was fixed, just that Kovalev picked the worst time for Canelo picked the worst time for Kovalev to fight, which we all knew. Sorry, mate. Fight is fixed. Fight is fixed. And I did break down the various ways a fight can be fixed if you look in my previous video. Listen, how can a fight be a fight, right? If two guys, listen to me, on a Saturday night, two guys come out of a pub, they have an argument, they put their fists up and they have a fight, right? The two of them don't like one another, you know, one thought he was checking the other guy's girl, blah, blah, blah. He says, mate, you want to take it outside? I'll take you outside, mate, I'll take you outside. Big guy, you know, both similar height, similar size. Oh, I'll take it outside, come on, mate. And they get stuck into one another. I don't know who's going to win the fight between the two guys. I might think, oh, you might have it. I don't know because I'm watching it there. It's live and interactive. I can't make a judgment. But this business of me knowing before you even sign a contract, your ass is going to get whooped. And these are two elite fighters. Your ass is getting whooped because, A, you are an invested fighter, investment. One's got a $300 million investment behind him. And one is a guy that's at the end of his career. Come on, man. And then this guy's also got a franchise championship belt, which means he can duck all his mandatories, one. And two, even if he loses a fight, he's still champion. And you want to sit here and tell me you don't think the fight is fixed? That's fixed. That's fixed, man. That's before the man steps in the ring. And we're not talking about fights between one guy and another guy where he's on the way up in his career. We're not talking about that. We're talking about two elite athletes. And we're talking about two guys where one guy is not going to use his advantages and the other guy's going to use every advantage he's got. To me, that's first-class bullying. But, I understand the apologetics. And I understand the guys out there don't want to make apologies and make excuses. Because of guys like you don't want to make these excuses. It's because we've got this same garbage going on. You know? That's why the franchise champion can be allowed. Because people like you can always have an excuse for rubbish. So we move further and further away from the standard of what boxing's all about. Well, we'll know after round one if Ruiz has got to in the Joshua fight. I remember your video about the man on the training room. Yep, I do remember that video as well. So we need to bear that in mind. LOL, it was a fixed fight. Canelo held every advantage before going in because of back-to-back camps and weight clause. Yeah, we know that. The right hand wasn't fixed. The KO was logically progression of what would happen against a fully prepared Canelo and not a fully prepared Kovalev. Well, yeah, of course. That stuff I get. But can you answer me logically why the Crusher, who's known to knock people out, did not try and throw one right hand of any serious note against Canelo? Can you explain that to me? 1 minute you're telling me, oh, he's a fantastic boxer. Oh, he's a puncher and your yard's got no chance. And then a guy who's a middleweight comes up and punches him up like that. Come on, man. It don't make sense. And I'm not prepared to sit down and talk. I'm not prepared to sit down and talk and make excuses or try and follow some of you guys' scripts, because some of you guys' scripts before I talked about this fight, I told you what would happen before it happened and how it would happen. I saw the police officer robbed versus Taylor in a behind-the-scenes documentary, bawling her eyes out after robbery. It's sickening, Maxroom. She was devastated. That's another example. I swear I was so glad the night Joshua got beat. So glad. Because Taylor should have lost. For sure, Josh Kelly should have lost. But these same people that come in this room and run up their mouth about Adam Booth being a great trainer, where were the adjustments in that fight? None, no way. But if any British fighter decides to leave a trainer, they'll call Adam Booth out. A lot of these people in the room here, they like to come in the room and talk the garbage. Again, but they won't mention anything about that. They'll be blind to all of that until one of their fighters get robbed or get beat. And then all the excuses start coming out. I ain't got time to have conversation with people like that, man. That's not That's not proper talk, man. He said he was gassed after 6 rounds. Saw that too, George. Yeah, good. Good. So that's what I'm saying to you all, man. You all don't want to listen to what I got to say, and I get it. But if I keep on talking about it, and I keep on talking about it, it's it's gonna happen. It keeps happening. It keeps happening over and over and over again. So yeah, so I'm gonna put this out there as well, this video. In fact, no, I won't. I'll wait and put another video. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Canelo and Kovalev situation. It's a sad state of affairs, but we did tell you so. Thanks for watching BWTM Sports. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, leave your comments. We'll be back talking Wilder, Ortiz, and a few other things as well. Stay tuned.